Welcome to day 373 of our Deso journey. I'm Ed Krasenstein here with my twin brother Brian. And remember, these videos are being sponsored by NFT Tech. They are an investor in CloutFeed. So
How do you
yesterday
like my
was,
new shirt?
what's NFTZ zone?
Just some website.
Okay. Jack Dorsey had a tweet yesterday. So as many of you are aware, Elon Musk made some post about essentially about Web3 of, I guess it was last week or so. And yesterday, Jack Dorsey, of course, the founder of Twitter, did the same. And he basically admitted that Twitter is not the answer. And he took blame for it in a way. Uh, he made a tweet that said, the choice of which algorithm. So let me catch you up. So Elon Musk's tweet said that Twitter's algorithm should be open source. That's what Elon Musk said, which spurred on this conversation about Web3. Jack Dorsey retweeted Elon Musk's tweet, but said the choice of which algorithm to use or not should be open to everyone. So he's basically saying the choice of which algorithm to use should be open to everyone. Whereas Elon Musk was saying that Twitter algorithm itself should be open to everyone. And I get what Jack Dorsey is saying. Jack then went on to tweet saying the days of Usenet, IRC, the web, even email with PGP were amazing. Centralizing discovery and identity into corporations really damaged the internet. I realize I'm partially to blame and I regret it. So, I mean, Twitter, they are part of that centralized corporation that, you know, handled identity and handled social media and handled the posts on the database. I found it interesting. Alex Ohanian, who was actually on Deso, he's a registered
He's
user on
actually one of
Deso.
the early venture capitalists of Deso, I believe.
Yeah, he hasn't actually posted in, I think, 110 days or so, but he replied to Jack Dorsey and he said, Web3 fixes this, my guy. And then Jack Dorsey replied to Alexis and said, nah, same problems, different words.
You,
You
you
know,
know, so Jack Dorsey's whole philosophy on that matter is that the people that basically the VCs are getting in early on these new blockchains. So they are the ones that are kind of centralizing it with control. But I don't really buy that argument. Sure, I mean, Deso itself has a lot of VC money into it. But I think just over the last year alone, much of that VC money has probably, some of it at least, has sold off and it's been decentralized even further. And if you look forward, say 5 or 10 years from now, and say Deso is a very, very used blockchain within the social identity aspects of it, it's just going to continue to be further and further decentralized as more people join, more people earn, and more people get Deso. So I don't really buy that. For some blockchain projects, maybe that's the case. Maybe corporations can ape into the coin and just hold the coin. But with Deso, the fact that it's being distributed via diamonds and via creator coin buys and via all these other mechanisms, as the member base grows, I think this is the blockchain that actually gets away from what Jack Dorsey is trying to kind of say, no, this isn't actually what happens.
well, I think another way to look at Jack Dorsey's point of view is that maybe he's saying that, sure, the blockchain is decentralized, but the companies and the individuals running the websites that are feeding into and out of that blockchain are centralized. Thus, the platform that, like, in the future, a Twitter-like clone emerges on the Deso blockchain, it's going to probably be a corporation behind that entity. And sure, others can create another website using that same database, but most likely people are still going to use that one popular website. So I think that's where he's saying, it's centralized maybe, but how's this for a solution? What if somebody creates a DAO and the DAO actually is a publicly run, like anybody on the social media platform owns the social media platform. And to get developers involved, it's just developers who are part of the platform. And what if everybody could own the exact same amount? Every single user on the platform own one DAO coin, and they all vote for every major thing that takes place on that website. So it's more like a Wikipedia of Twitters on a decentralized blockchain. I think that's where you get a real decentralized social media platform, is when you take the decentralized blockchain and combine it with a DAO that's
Decentralized
actually
front
running
end
the
of sorts.
platform.
So yeah, so you're saying have the decentralized blockchain and then have also a decentralized front end. But I think that's exactly what Deso is doing with DAO and the creation of these DAOs. It's enabling many of these projects. Like already, that Supernovas is starting to kind of use this. They have plans to basically sell DAO coins, I assume, to kind of decentralize their front end. So I think Deso is pushing projects. I know they're pushing projects that are building on Deso as front end layers.
But I think the fact that you can buy into the platform
I
being
got
run
it.
centralized it. Like it's not centralized to one person, but it's centralized to those
Right.
who have the money to put into it. So what if BitClout becomes a DAO? But instead of selling DAO tokens for it, instead of doing that, everybody who has a profile, or maybe even a verified profile, is verified through associations, they become the owner of one DAO coin, and you have one vote, one governance vote. And sure, it's going to be hard because you're not going to be able to raise money, but you could have fundraisers. You could, do things to raise money, but you could also just use the developers who are part of that DAO to build out the site. Use, marketing experts to build marketing videos. Use people who have big web platforms to advertise.
Well, let's take that a step further. So we're obviously iterating as we go here. We didn't think this through before we did the show, so we're kind of thinking as we're going here. But say they did take bitclout.com and they wanted to decentralize the front end, which is bitclout.com. They could give every user one DAO coin, but maybe they could also give developers rewards as DAO coins as well. Maybe additional rewards. Maybe they could give. Maybe if you make 100 posts, you get another dump of DAO coins. Maybe if you do something else, you get another. So you could reward engagement on that front end, but it's also helping to build the back end and the blockchain because you're creating engagement. So that's actually a good idea. Maybe we just came up with a great idea that would solve what Jack Dorsey's talking about, as well as what Elon Musk is talking about.
Yeah, but then again, if you start doing that, where you start rewarding additional tokens, then doesn't it kind of become centralized in those who are more active on the platform, or centralize those who are developing on the platform? Like, I think Jack Dorsey's vision is more of a Wikipedia that's, funded through just public donations, and it's just run by the public with no, I mean, technically, I guess you could say Wikipedia is centralized too, though, because there's people who decide who can add content to Wikipedia, and there's people who are higher up on the chain that can say, no, this isn't, like there's editors. So, I mean, like you said, Ron, we're discussing this and we're talking about it. We didn't discuss how we're going to address this in this video. So we're kind of just throwing ideas out there.
Well, I mean, nothing's truly decentralized ever. You can't truly decentralize anything. There's always going to be, I think, some minor centralization. I mean, you could argue that Bitcoin's not decentralized because Satoshi owns 1 million Bitcoin. I mean, you could go down that route, but I feel like Jack is not opening his mind up enough. I feel like this is a solution.
Stop. I think what Jack is saying is that when it comes to social media, you don't want any individual or group of individuals having the say in what should and should not be posted, who should and should not be on the platform. So that's where I think, like, you can't really, like, even if you start giving tokens away as rewards, those people who are developing, or those people who are the most active on the platform, are going to end up becoming that group that has the most power. So I think you just want to keep it where every single user, and I think that comes down to verification as well, because people could create multiple usernames. Every single user would get a token, and every single user would have equal say in the governance votes.
Yeah, I just think that it's just taking things a little bit too far. I love that idea, and I think it can work. But it's already like I see it as already decentralized. Who cares if the front end is centralized? If the data, which is basically everything, is decentralized. If this Twitter clone becomes super popular, and then they decide, oh, we want to start blocking portions of the blockchain, well, anybody can create a secondary version of that and say, hey, I'm not going to block it.
Yeah,
So
I mean, you say that,
I think there's
you say that, but say Twitter was built on the blockchain. Just say it was. And then, they started banning a lot of conservatives. They banned us. They banned, a lot of people. Would, and then say Donald Trump comes out and says, I'm going to start Truth Social using the Twitter blockchain database. Are people really going to flock to Truth Social? I don't know. I don't think they would. I think,
I don't think
Twitter's the one that
and
gets all the web traffic. They get all the people, all the eyes, the media watches that. I think people want to be on Twitter because that's where everybody's viewing.
I don't know. I think it's kind of like if it was decentralized and say Truth Social integrated with the Twitter blockchain, say Twitter had their data in a blockchain, I do think most of the conservatives that are against what Twitter was doing would move over to Truth Social, and they would view all those tweets as well. And their post on Truth Social would also feed into that database as long as it's not breaking Twitter's rules. So I don't know. I think it's a I, I think that Jack Dorsey's being a little bit too stringent on his definition of decentralization because I think it's the data that matters. And I get what you're saying. I think that Twitter has the popularity, they have the eyeballs, so the decisions they make are influencing that blockchain a lot more than the decisions if somebody else was to build on that data. But they're all good questions, I think. And I just want to say what like Natter actually made a post regarding what happened, and it said first Elon Musk calls for the decentralization of social and the open sourcing of feed algorithms. Now Jack is publicly supporting the decentralization of social identity and discovery. This is the inflection point for Deso. Why? And I think I think it's a good question, and I think that this is kind of this point where people are starting to realize, maybe these people realize it already, but they're publicly acknowledging that we have a problem with the current social media state of things, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see what's done with BitClout. Do they make that into a DAO? Is maybe another social media site emerges on DAO, and maybe you come up with an idea like, okay, only every person can only own one DAO token. DAO tokens cost $50 a piece, and anybody who owns a DAO token pays $50. But something most people, at least in America, can afford. Maybe make it less. Maybe make it $10 so that most people. I don't know if I can say most people in the world, but a good amount of the world can afford paying $10 to own that one DAO token and then having equal say as everybody else. Maybe that's how you do it. And then you have money in the treasury. I don't know.
And then everybody feels like they're part of something special and that nobody is more powerful than anybody else. And that might actually drive engagement, drive people to try and help build that front layer. And I think something like that could work.
Well, and you make it there where there's unlimited amount of tokens. So it's not like, the value of them are going to go up because anybody who wants one can still buy one. So there would be no secondary market for them. I mean, it's an idea, like whether they do that with BitClout or, maybe, Joe Schmo from Texas decides to create a DAO for a social media website that does something like that. There's a lot of ideas that could emerge from DAO. And I think that's why DAO has so much potential in my eyes, especially if they take care of the legal stuff, like I think Natter said. I did want to touch on one other person who replied to Jack Dorsey, and he said, this was NVK on Twitter, and he said, Web3 is fully centralized. Unfortunately, unless you are very technical, it doesn't look that way. And Jack actually replied and said 100%.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
And I think that this is going to be a discussion that we're going to have for months to come, probably years to come.
And I mean, I think Jack Dorsey's actually working on something. I know there's, what is it, Blue Sky, I don't know if that's what he's referring to, but I think he is contemplating something, and I think he has some ideas. I don't know if it's going to be on its own individual blockchain. There was a lot of mention. I was reading through the threads of Bitcoin, and I know Jack loves Bitcoin, so maybe he's building something as some sort of layer on Bitcoin. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll see. So moving on, Sean Slater, he has an interesting idea that he's kind of implementing to create more engagement, I think, and incentivize people owning his creator coin. And of course, creator coins are pretty slow right now, not much activity. But basically, what he's doing is he's giving automated diamond showers to the coin holders of his who own at least 0.1 of his Sean Slater coin. Every 8 hours, his bot is going to randomly choose a lucky coin holder that holds the 0.1 or more of his coin and treat that person with a diamond shower over their last 30 posts. So I just thought it was an interesting idea. I love how people are thinking outside the box and ways to kind of engage the community as well as add value to their coin. I hope we see more of this. And I'm going to mention one Dolinsky here. He's all about subscriptions, and I think subscriptions are key, I think, to adding a fundamental reason to own creator coins rather than just a speculative, I guess, reason for owning them. And the way subscriptions would work is that you could subscribe to a user, and a portion of that subscription fee would get distributed to the coin holders via the creator coin value, I guess. So obviously people would have an incentive of owning somebody who they think will get a lot of subscribers, and it's kind of a reoccurring revenue thing. So I love the idea. I think that has definite potential to kind of reignite the creator coin market. And we talked to Chris Dolinsky a lot in LA, and all he had to talk about was subscriptions and a lot of other really cool stuff. He's, of course, the founder of Vibe Hut, who's doing amazing things.
Subscriptions.
So
what are the top hashtags from the last 24 hours, Brian?
Top hashtags, once again, Natter, Verify, Stargazer, Please is number one. Number two is Deso. Number three, NFT. Number four, photography. And number five, a new one, Peace and Love. So it's a nice one to see.
And the top account earners from the last 24 hours are?
Yeah, so in total, $2,392 was earned in the last 24 hours by 939 creators. This is down, but it's above the normal weekend over the course of the last 3 or 4 weeks. So it's still up from the baseline, I think. 10 creators earned at least one Deso. DAO earned $383, followed by Seals, Chuck Akins, Amber Byers, Cloutpunk, Wavpool X, Unicat, Cranial Origami, Huge Tiny, and Lax Content. So congrats to all of them. I just want to say this is actually our NFTZ shirt. We gave a bunch of these away in LA. But yeah, it's their logo, our shirt. I'll try to wear it a little bit more often. It gets people asking questions, and then I can kind of jump into Deso and what Deso is all about.
Lots of cool stuff happening with NFTZ. Stay tuned. Yeah, I think that's all we have for today. No community events scheduled as far as I'm aware, as far as Miss Katie Ann's aware. So everybody have a great rest of your weekend, and we will talk to you tomorrow.